Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Ermenkov. I'm a ruling reality coach, and I'm continuing my series, Daily Reality with Alex. And today is 20th of April, 2023. And I'm doing this series till the end of 2023, where I'm constantly expressing the things that are important to me, the things that I'm daily expressing into the physical matter reality in order for all of us to become much more interactional with the reality and to be able to really implement everything that is in the realm of the mind. So I would like today to speak about one of the topics that was anyhow close to us in the last 10 to 20 days, depending on which part of the world we are in. And it is basically connected with the reality of resurrection and why this concept and this principle is constantly bothering the human beings. And it is not going to be a normal concept if we didn't have the day and life cycle, and if we didn't have the so-called experience of death. Because without the life and death experience, we were never going to have the concept of the resurrection of the material and the regeneration again from life to death to life, and so on and so on. It is only possible if there is the life and death cycle. And I would like to share my screen and to deep dive with you together in how the resurrection principle is actually working in our mindset and how we are to constantly work with it. I'm here asking the chat GPT about the different principles of resurrection in order to see how our common brain and our collective internal is already embedded with these principles through the ages. So from the physical perspective, we have the transformation of the caterpillar into butterfly, which symbolizes rebirth and resurrection. We have the cycles of the seasons, with winter representing the death and the spring representing the new life. And this is an allegory of resurrection. As I told you, it is everywhere embedded in our physical matter reality because of this principle that something is dying and then it's rising again. The way as it is buried into the ground and then grows into a plant is a metaphor for resurrection. The way a tree loses its leaves in the fall and then grows new ones in the spring is a symbol of resurrection. And if I, for a second, just go back to this metaphor, and in all areas of nature, resurrection is a principle that is patterned in, and then with the human beings that are having awareness and consciousness cannot accept that this type of resurrectional principle of the material appearance of ourselves we call the body, the so-called individual external of each one of us is also able to be the part of the resurrection, because we are 100% sure that this type of body, when it goes into the ground, it totally disintegrates, because we know quite well from the science and from experience that this body is going to disintegrate, and with it all the physical matter functions. But as we see with the tree, which leaves are dying, and then new leaves emerges, And if we go to the human being, it only means that we are constantly connected to something more than the body that is able to regenerate a new leaf or a new body structure in which the essence, the so-called I amness, is going to appear in the physical materiality again. Especially if we see this allegory in the nature where, yes, leaves are dying, but the vitality of the force is still into a connection to the extent that something is not lost after the leaf is falling. And I'm continuing sharing again in order to see some more metaphors. The way the snake sheds its skin and emerges renewed in an allegory of resurrection, the way the flower dies and then reblossom in the spring is a symbol of resurrection. We can see this with the tulips. I have this type of tulips in the garden, for example, and I'm going just to stop sharing for a second to show you from our garden. These are dandelions, and is it two different flowers? If we look from the perspective of the appearance, it is two different flowers. But from the perspective of the essence, it is the same thing, though one of it is in a stage that it appears to be much more different than the other, which is in another stage. In a sense, there is a total transformation through the processes where the yellow has turned into white and where the appearance of this flower has totally differentiated itself and became something other. If you ask someone that is not biased, is this the same being? Is this the same flower? Is this the same species? Firstly, based on the appearance, they are going to tell you that it is not the same. And the only thing that looks the same and that gives the similarity and from where we derive, you see, it is this part. Only the bottom part looks like that it is the same. And then if we go into the DNK of these objects, we're going to see that actually it is 100% the same thing, though the appearance is different. And then we, the human beings, are constantly able to give so many conclusions that this body is going to die. The resurrection principle also tells us that there is much more bigger connection going on. Otherwise, it's not possible, this principle, to work for the human beings. But I'm going to continue sharing to see other allegories I saw about the way the flower dies. Then the way a phoenix rises from the ashes is a powerful metaphor of resurrection. The way a river dries up in the summer and then flows again in the spring is a symbol of resurrection, because all we know that actually the source of the river is never stopping. The way a butterfly emerges from its chrysalis is a powerful metaphor of resurrection. The way a star dies in a supernova and forms a new star. The way a bird builds a new nest each year. The way a crab sheds its shell and then grows a new one. The way a plant goes dormant in the winter, then it grows in the spring is a powerful allegory of resurrection. And now when we are celebrating Easter, and we know now that the spring is coming, this rejuvenation and these resurrectional powers are coming through all the nature. The way a bear hibernates in the winter and then emerges in the spring is a symbol of resurrection. The way the snail retreats into the shell and then emerges again. The way a cicada emerges from its cocoon, the way a lizard sheds its tail and then it regrows is a symbol of resurrection. All the time, this is telling us that there is a much more deeper connection than only the physical matter partition of the body, let's say. The way a crabapple tree produces fruit after being cut back to its root is a metaphor of resurrection. The way a seed germinates and then grows into a plant is a powerful allegory of resurrection, and so on. And then, of course, I wanted to ask the ChatGPT much more about what's the difference between the spiritual resurrection and material resurrection, because a lot of us and almost all humanity is going to agree with the allegory principles. We like allegories. In the mental realm, we can agree that resurrection is possible. And now you see here, nature, spiritual resurrection is a concept related to the soul, whereas material resurrection is related to the physical body. And for it, it's very important because we need to deep dive into the physical matter reality and understand that there is constant connection between the physical matter reality and the non-physical matter reality. Otherwise, physical resurrection is not possible. Spiritual resurrection is focused on the afterlife and the eternal nature of the soul, whereas material resurrection is focused on the physical restoration of the body. Spiritual resurrection is viewed as a process of spiritual transformation, where material resurrection is viewed as a physical event. And so on and so on. And I'm not going to complete all of this, because I would like to continue with our deep dive from the metaphors to the real life application. Because from the human point of view, there was only one person that was really embedding and identified itself with this principle of resurrection and relied 100% upon this principle, and this is the personality of the so-called Jesus Christ in English, or the anointed Savior, or the expected Messiah, and so on, metaphor and archetype of the personality that is able to go through the death, a resurrectional principle, and through the historical personality of Jesus Christ from Nazareth, the Jewish person that said that I am the resurrection and the life, and this person that we are celebrating in the Easter celebration, especially in the Western world, it is only connecting us to the hope that actually the body structure long-term is going to be important for the human beings. Because in today's society, based on the Gnostic movements, based on the spiritual movements, we have so much emphasizing on the spirituality, and that the physical materiality actually does not matter at all, and the only thing that matters is the spiritual. But if the essence is in the spiritual and the appearances are in the physical matter reality, it is not possible the spiritual and the essence to exist without it be into a state of appearance. And that's why the physical matter reality always is going to exist and is always going to be important. And this is the only reason why the so-called 1% and the so-called elite will never be against spirituality, will never be against all the type of movements towards everything that is transcending, but will always fight for the physical matter reality and its appearance to be according to their image and not according to what we are all complaining that it is not. And this is very important. And for me, the physical matter reality and the physical matter observation is a very, very important thing. And this is the only thing that through the 5 data senses is actually making us conscious. Of course, we can say, well, but Alex, I don't want to be conscious about the physical matter reality. The only thing I want is to have my spiritual experiences, to have my inner peace, to have my inner fulfillment, and I don't care about my appearance. I don't care about my performance. The physical matter reality doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is my inner being to flourish into the so-called etherical, and non-physical matter reality experience. And I will constantly ignore reality, and I will constantly be trying to escape the trap for my soul we call the physical matter reality, because first, we don't like it. Second, it is not according to our envisionment, and so on and so on. But there are people that are willing to implicate and to implement into the physical reality everything that is their own essence. And according to me, this is one of the most important things for us, the human beings, instead of ignoring reality, to interact with reality and to be able, through the law of correspondence, what is within to be shown above, what is above to be expressed within us, and so on and so on. And that's why, for me, my outer appearances and my outer influence, and when I open my eyes daily, this is when my conscious experiences start to happen, and this is where I'm able to 100% any second influence the physical matter reality. And this is part of my responsibility while I'm here in this physical matter experience to express my essence. And every time when I'm ignoring, when I'm withdrawing myself, when I'm stopping being interactional, when I go into dysfunctionality, I'm actually going against my nature, which is constantly supporting me to express my essence. And here there are 2 types of tendencies, and I'm going to very briefly just give you 2 different sentences that are going to show you the differences. One very big idea, and this is where the power of the ego lies, is that we as internal beings can produce whatever outer appearance we want. And then the sentences every day produce the life that you want. And it looks very nice, and it looks like this is the ultimate goal, that I'm constantly going to produce whatever I like as an appearance. And the second, contrary to this tendency, is every day to produce and to express who I am, instead of trying to focus on the appearances and to start comparing with other human beings. Oh, what type of appearances you have? I'm going to have better appearances because I want to show you my significance from me based on the comparison with you. But if we are daily striving for extracting and have a reality that is constantly expressing our essence, then our unique ability shows, then there is no comparison between the human beings, and then the support is going to be much more natural human behavior, because all of us need and are in a necessity for each other essence to be expressed into the physical matter reality. We don't need thousands of Bill Gates. We don't need thousands of Elon Musks. We need thousands, and to be concrete, more than 8 billion of unique essences to be expressed into the physical matter reality, instead of trying to ignore it and go into the deepness of the insight, or going into the activity of constantly replicating different appearances that looks modern, that looks up to date, but are still fake because they are not the unique essences that the nature is expecting from them to express. And this is very important principle to be hopeful for, and that's why me as a human being, I'm constantly striving for and willing to be preparing and to be in awareness about the physical resurrection of everything, of my body. Of course, I'm 100% aware that when my resurrection happens, it is not going to be in this body shape, this body form, as these are not the same. So my new body is not going to be in the likeness of this body, because this physical matter reality body is going to disintegrate, but my connection to the source will always stay. And that's why the only thing that matters here in the physical matter reality is our connection, is our source development. Instead of going into personal development, into the human development, better is for us to go into our source connection, development of interaction, in order to be able to understand our essence and to be able to express it, as of course it is not possible without making this connection daily expressing itself. And that's why I'm very interested in the reality of resurrection, and I will never disregard it. And I can show you so many examples that it is we can say it is not stupid to embed this type of principles into our daily reality, because they are working in nature, they're working in the human body, they're working in the human experience, they're working in the human doingness. And this is such a powerful principle without which it is not possible anything to have an end. And the end is not possible to come without going through these resurrectional and transformational principles. And of course, if we deep dive, there are so many more layers where, in a sense, because this is where human beings doesn't understand, and I also in the past didn't understand the meaning of change, because I thought that change is a change in appearance. But basically, we never change. Our essence is always the same. It doesn't matter. For example, again, if we see these two flowers, the essence never changes. Only the appearance is changing. But the essence of this flower is still 100% the same. Everything is the same. Only the outer performance is changing, and all this type of outer performance change is temporary. And instead of trying to be the yellow flower, instead of the white flower, better understand that as more we are expressing the unchangeable essence, the more and more real life appearance of change is going to happen paradoxically without we changing, we be in a change ourselves at all. There is no such thing as a better version of myself. I'm always the same. The only thing that is changing is how much I'm allowing from my essence to appear in the physical matter reality. And that's why I encourage all of us to enjoy our physical matter reality and to embed as much as possible the principle of resurrection, because, of course, me as a Christian, as a believer of Jesus Christ, and that he died and resurrected, for me, this is not a phenomenon, but it is the normal part of the processes that are appearing. And the only thing that matters behind this story is the source and the essence of all, that it doesn't matter is the physical matter disintegrate, the connection is going to long-term stay. And because of this, the leaves are going to appear once again upon the tree of life towards which we are 100% connected. So thank you for watching today. Enjoy your reality. I know the resurrectional principle is much more deep. We can go into so many realms where we can see it. But for now, for me, what is important is just to show you that this principle is working in our daily reality. Bye-bye. Enjoy your reality and have hope in the resurrection principle. Bye-bye.